ever feel like you're constantly bombarded with these messages? Like, treat yourself, you deserve it, buy now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're diving into a philosophy that offers a very different perspective, Epicureanism.
Okay.
Now, before you picture these lavish feasts and,
Right.
endless spa days, let me tell you, there's a lot more to this ancient Greek school of thought than meets the eye.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Epicurus, the founder of this philosophy, often gets misconstrued, right? As someone who just advocated for pure indulgence.
Right.
But his idea of pleasure was way, way more profound and, dare I say it, incredibly relevant to navigating the chaos of modern life.
So we're not talking about like maxing out our credit cards, in the name of Epicurus.
Not quite. Imagine instead like a deep sense of inner peace, a
Yeah.
tranquility so profound that anxieties just melt away.
Okay.
That's what Epicurus called ataraxia.
Ataraxia.
Yeah. He believed that true pleasure stemmed from the absence of pain and fear. A state achieved not through these fleeting indulgences, but through, a really deep understanding of ourselves, right, and the world around us.
Ataraxia. It almost sounds like a state of mindfulness, something we try to strive for today through like meditation or yoga.
You're picking up on a key concept here.
Okay.
But for Epicurus, achieving ataraxia, it wasn't about mastering a specific technique, right?
Right.
It was about living a life guided by reason,
Okay.
recognizing that difference, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
between what we really need and what we just simply desire.
Okay.
He distinguished between necessary desires, like fulfilling our basic needs, right, for food, shelter, and connection,
Sure.
and unnecessary desires.
Yeah.
These are the ones often fueled by external pressures, right?
Right. Right.
The longing for that new gadget, the pursuit of status symbols, things like that.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit because I'll admit the thought of my phone being an unnecessary desire makes me a little twitchy.
Yeah.
If we're constantly like bombarded with messages telling us we need the latest and greatest, how can we even begin to separate those unnecessary desires from like our genuine needs?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one that Epicurus tackled head on, I think. He believed that by understanding the true nature of the universe,
Okay.
we could free ourselves from those anxieties that stem from these unnecessary desires.
Okay.
This is where his embrace of atomism comes in.
Now, atomism, for most of us, that probably just brings back like memories of high school chemistry class.
Sure.
How does the idea of, these tiny invisible atoms, how does that relate to finding inner peace and happiness?
Okay, so imagine this. The entire universe, including us, right?
Yeah.
Made up of these tiny, indivisible particles moving around in empty space.
Okay.
That's atomism simplified.
Yeah.
Now, what's fascinating is how Epicurus connected this to happiness, right?
Yeah.
He believed that understanding the world is this interplay of atoms, right? Eliminated that fear of supernatural intervention.
Oh, okay.
The idea of God's controlling our fate or doling out punishments.
So less the universe is out to get me and more things happen because of cause and effect.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That actually sounds incredibly liberating.
Precisely. By recognizing that we're part of this natural order, right, governed by predictable laws,
Right.
Epicurus believed we could just let go of a lot of unnecessary fear and anxiety.
Okay.
There's no need to appease capricious deities or worry about divine retribution.
Okay.
It's about focusing on what we can control, our own thoughts and action.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. This concept of just like letting go of that fear, especially the fear of the unknown, it feels incredibly relevant today even, right?
Absolutely.
But I have to ask Epicurus, he kind of took this idea to a whole other level with his views on death, right?
He did, yeah.
Death is nothing to us. That's a pretty bold statement, even now.
It is, and you'll often see it misconstrued as like dark or pessimistic.
Sure.
But in the context of Epicurean philosophy, it makes perfect sense. Think of it this way. If everything, including us, right, is simply a configuration of atoms,
Okay.
then death is just the rearranging of those atoms.
Okay.
Our consciousness, our ability to experience anything, it ceases.
Right.
And since we can't experience, non-existence,
Right.
there's no point in fearing it.
That's strangely comforting, actually.
Yeah.
It's like saying there's nothing to fear because there will be no you to experience fear.
Exactly.
Like it almost takes the sting out of the ultimate unknown.
Exactly. And this perspective, it ties directly back to ataraxia,
Okay.
by accepting death as a natural part of, the cosmic dance.
Right.
We free ourselves from this primal fear that often dictates so many of our choices. We
Yeah.
start living more fully in the present moment, appreciating those simple joys and connections that truly matter.
It's amazing to think that a philosophy developed, centuries ago could hold such profound wisdom for navigating the complexities of modern life.
Right.
But it wasn't the only game in town, was it?
Yeah.
There were other philosophical kind of heavy hitters like Stoicism and Platonism
Yeah, yeah.
that had very, very different takes on happiness and how to live a good life.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's start with the Stoics. Like Epicureans, they were also interested in achieving this kind of inner peace, right?
Right.
However, while Epicurus saw pleasure as this ultimate good, Stoics placed a higher value on virtue, on living a life guided by reason and moral principles.
Right. You could say that.
So for the Stoics, it was less about like seeking out pleasure and more about doing what was considered right, regardless of the emotional outcome.
In a nutshell, yes.
Okay.
They believed that true happiness stemmed from mastering our emotions, accepting, whatever life threw our way with a sense of calm indifference.
Mm-hmm.
A very different approach to Epicurus's emphasis on maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain.
Right, right. And then there was Plato with his famous theory of forms, this concept that seems almost like, diametrically opposed to Epicurus's focus on this physical world of atoms.
Right.
Can you unpack that for us a little bit?
Absolutely. So imagine, if you will, a realm beyond our senses,
Okay.
a realm inhabited by perfect, unchanging concepts.
Mm.
Beauty, justice, truth. These are Plato's forms.
Okay.
He believed that the physical world we experience is just a shadow,
Okay.
an imperfect reflection of these higher ideals.
So while Epicurus grounded his philosophy in the tangible, the observable world of atoms,
Right.
Plato kind of looked beyond seeking truth in these abstract, eternal concepts.
Exactly. And it's within this contrast that we begin to see the tapestry of ancient philosophy unfold.
Yeah.
It wasn't about one right or wrong answer, but rather this pursuit of understanding the human condition, right?
Right.
And our place in the cosmos.
It's like choosing your own philosophical adventure. But speaking of navigating different paths, I can't help but wonder, how would a modern day Epicurean navigate today's world?
Yeah.
Especially with like all the constant distractions and pressures of, the digital age. Would they even own a smartphone?
That's a question that gets to the heart of Epicurus's enduring relevance.
Yeah.
While he couldn't have predicted, right, the rise of social media or the 24/7 news cycle,
Right.
his insights into, human nature and the pursuit of happiness, I think they offer valuable guidance.
So instead of like completely shunning technology, a modern day Epicurean might focus on using it mindfully,
Yes.
like just being aware of how it impacts their well-being.
Precisely. Imagine an Epicurean scrolling through their social media feed.
Right, yeah.
They wouldn't necessarily disengage entirely,
Right.
but would do so with a critical eye.
Right.
Recognizing that the carefully curated lives on display, they often fuel those unnecessary desires that we talked about earlier.
It's fascinating because even though he lived, centuries before the invention of the internet,
Right.
Epicurus's warnings about the dangers of chasing fleeting pleasures and seeking, validation from external sources.
Yeah.
It seems incredibly relevant to our social media obsessed culture.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
He emphasized, finding contentment in simple things,
Right.
cultivating, meaningful relationships,
Yeah.
and valuing inner peace over material possessions, messages that resonate so deeply in our increasingly noisy and hyper-connected world.
So it's not about ditching our smartphones and retreating to a mountaintop. It's about approaching our digital lives with a sense of awareness and intention.
Yes.
Like choosing to focus on what truly nourishes our well-being.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that true happiness, that state of ataraxia, isn't found in the endless pursuit of more, right? But in appreciating those simple joys and genuine connections that enrich our lives.
It's like we're trying to find this sense of peace in
Right.
a world that's designed to keep us wanting more.
And that's precisely why I think, this exploration of Epicureanism feels so incredibly timely,
Yeah, it's like he had his finger on the pulse of human nature centuries before, algorithms were engineered to kind of like exploit it.
Yeah, you've hit on a crucial point there.
So how do we even begin to apply these Epicurean principles to our modern lives? Like it's easy to say, like, find contentment in simple things.
Right.
But like what does that actually look like when you're, bombarded with ads for things you didn't even know you needed 5 seconds ago?
Well, this is where that concept of recognizing and then challenging those unnecessary desires
Right.
comes into play, right?
It's like training your brain to differentiate between what you truly need versus what you've been conditioned to want.
Precisely. And it's not about depriving yourselves entirely, right?
Right.
But rather cultivating this sense of awareness,
Okay.
around your desires.
So asking yourself, like, do I actually need this new gadget, or am I just chasing this fleeting feeling of satisfaction?
Exactly. And what's interesting is that Epicurus saw this awareness
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as directly linked to virtue.
You mean those qualities we typically kind of like associate with being a good person, like kindness, honesty, courage.
Exactly. But here's where Epicurus takes a slightly different
Okay.
tack than say the Stoics,
Yeah.
who believed that virtue was an end in itself.
So it wasn't just about, like, following a set of moral rules for the sake of being, good.
Right? Epicurus believed that cultivating virtues like kindness, honesty,
Yeah.
these things they actually contributed to our own happiness. So,
Right. So it's like this ripple effect. Like by acting virtuously, we kind of create this this more positive and fulfilling experience for ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Wow.
Wouldn't you agree that nurturing genuine connections, being kind to others,
Yeah.
acting with integrity, these things ultimately contribute to a sense of inner peace and well-being.
Absolutely. It's like those actions, they create this positive feedback loop
Yeah,
that reinforces our own sense of happiness.
precisely. And this brings us to another fascinating, I think, aspect of Epicureanism,
Yep.
the idea of community.
Didn't Epicurus himself like have this whole group of followers who like lived and learned together?
He did, and this wasn't just a
Mhm.
coincidence. Epicurus, he believed that true happiness wasn't this solitary pursuit.
So it's not about like retreating from the world and meditating on our own.
Not at all. Epicurus believed that cultivating meaningful relationships,
Okay.
surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals,
Right.
was essential to living a fulfilling life.
It's like that saying, joy shared is joy doubled.
Right.
Except in this case, it's more like, oh, ataraxia shared is ataraxia doubled.
You're getting it, and this emphasis on community, it also extended to how Epicureans viewed their role in society.
So it wasn't just about, individual happiness, but
Yeah.
also about, contributing to the well-being of others.
Precisely, Epicurus believed that by living virtuously, by
Okay.
treating others with kindness and fairness,
Yeah.
we contribute to this more harmonious and just society.
It's like that concept of like enlightened self-interest, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
by acting in a way that benefits the collective,
Yeah.
we ultimately benefit ourselves as well.
Exactly. And this brings us back to your earlier question about
Right.
applying Epicurean principles in our modern lives, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about curating our own individual experiences,
Yeah.
but recognizing that our actions have these ripple effects.
So choosing to be kind, to be present, to appreciate the simple joys.
Yes.
Those choices, they impact not only our own well-being, but also the well-being of those around us.
Exactly. And in a world that often feels increasingly divided and chaotic,
Right.
embracing this interconnectedness, right? This
Yeah.
sense of shared humanity, I think that feels more important than ever.
It's like this radical act, like choosing kindness and connection in the face of so much noise and negativity.
And it's a choice that I think Epicurus would wholeheartedly endorse.
This has been incredibly insightful, but I'm curious
Yeah.
if Epicurus were to somehow time travel to today, right?
Okay.
And offer a single piece of advice for navigating, our modern world.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think it would be?
If I had to guess, I'd say he'd encourage us to step back from this relentless pursuit of more, right?
Okay.
To unplug from that constant noise,
Yeah.
and to rediscover those simple joys of human connection and the natural world.
It's a message that feels both like, ancient
Yeah.
and urgently relevant.
And perhaps that's the enduring legacy
Yeah.
of Epicurus, right?
Yeah.
Reminding us that true happiness, that deep sense of inner peace,
Hmm.
it has always been within our reach,
Right.
waiting to be rediscovered in each present moment.
It's almost like he's urging us to trade in our FOMO for a little more DROMO,
There you go.
joy of missing out.
Yeah.
Finding contentment, not in like, keeping up with the Joneses, but in connecting with what truly nourishes our souls.
It's a powerful shift in perspective, right?
Yeah.
One that feels both,
Yeah.
liberating and a little daunting, I think.
And perhaps that's the beauty of engaging with these ancient philosophies. Like
Yeah.
they challenge us to examine our own lives, right?
Absolutely.
Our values,
Right.
the choices we make each day.
It's like holding up a mirror, right,
Yeah.
to our modern world,
Yeah.
reflecting back both its wonders and its potential pitfalls.
And within that reflection, we find the invitation to choose a different path, one that aligns with our deepest values and aspirations.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into world of Epicurus,
Yeah.
what's the one like takeaway you hope our listeners will kind of carry with them?
If I could offer one thought,
Yeah.
it would be this. In a world that often celebrates
Yeah.
busyness and acquisition and
Yeah.
and external validation,
Yeah.
dare to embrace simplicity.
Okay.
Seek out genuine connection and cultivate a deep sense of inner peace.
It's a call to action.
It
It's
is.
like disguised as ancient wisdom.
And the best part is you don't have to wait for a sign from the universe
No.
or embark on this grand pilgrimage to answer that call.
It starts right here, right now, with the choices we make in each moment.
Choose kindness over judgment,
Yeah.
presence over distraction,
Yeah.
gratitude over envy.
Choose to savor a simple meal with loved ones, to disconnect from that digital world and reconnect with the natural world.
Yes.
Choose to cultivate that inner sanctuary of peace, that ataraxia
Yeah.
that Epicurus believed was our birthright.
And maybe, just maybe, in doing so,
Mhm.
we'll discover that true happiness, it isn't a destination,
Right.
but a way of traveling through this one precious life.
A journey fueled by awareness, intention,
Yes.
and a deep appreciation for the simple yet profound joys that connect us all.
Well said.
It's been a pleasure diving into these ideas with you.
Bye.
And until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep exploring the wisdom that surrounds us.
And remember, the pursuit of a good life is a journey best shared